Hi, welcome to today's daily inspiration. Today's date is May 2nd, 2022, and I thought that I would do something a little bit different for the month of May. It's still going to be the daily inspirations, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a book and I'm going to feature that book for the entire month of May. And this book, we may go into June a little bit. We'll just wait and see because I'm just starting this idea new for this month. And so the reason why I'm doing this is because in part, I was starting to think about how, I do this every day. So it's going to be 365 days. And to feature a different book every single day might be a little challenging, especially because right now we are living out of like a temporary home. We're in an apartment right now. We sold our house. We took advantage of the boom in the market right now as it being a seller's market. So we were able to sell our home and do really well with it, but we're waiting a little bit until we buy another house. And so the majority of my belongings, my books and everything are in storage right now. And so it's going to be a little challenging for me to get some of the books that I wanted to get my hands on. So I just thought it might be more beneficial, valuable for you if I feature one book and we go through that and spend some time on it for the month. So that's what I'm going to do this month. And I'm actually going to be featuring a type of therapy because I think, especially for people who struggle with substance use disorders or any type of addiction, that this is going to be really helpful. And it's not just for individuals who are recovering or struggling with a substance use disorder, but this acceptance and commitment therapy, it's called ACT, is also great for managing depression, anxiety, PTSD, OCD, and many more. So the book that I am featuring for this month, probably going into next month, we'll see because it's 30 days in the month. So I'll probably get through the book within the month because it's this book. It's Acceptance and Commitment Therapy. And it says in 7 weeks, but I'm featuring a small portion every single day. So obviously there are like 30, 31 days in each month, but we're going to do it in very small nuggets of information. So 5-10 minutes max is what I generally like to keep these daily inspirations at so that they're not too long and drawn out. This one may be a little bit longer because I'm just explaining to you what I'm doing moving forward for this month. And again, leading into potentially June, we'll see. But what we're going to do today is I'm just going to introduce you to ACT, and some people refer to it as ACT, and that's just one of those bits of information, not that it really matters, but it's not referred to by the letters ACT. It's referred to as ACT because it actually refers to action. It's an action-based therapy. So for today, so that I'm not taking up too much of your time, I'm just going to share with you a little bit about what ACT is from this book and also the 6 core processes. And if you're interested in getting this book and sort of like being better able to follow along, although it's not necessary at all, it is this. This is what it looks like. And it's by Carissa Gustafson PsyD. So you can go ahead and pick that up if you are interested. So ACT at a glance. ACT is less focused on changing your thoughts and more focused on using acceptance and mindfulness strategies to increase flexibility in your thinking. Using ACT, you would recognize that thoughts are just stories or narratives you have developed and not the absolute truth. So let's examine a thought and see how ACT would approach it differently. So the example of a thought being, I am boring and no one would want to be my friend or be interested in me. ACT would ask you to notice this thought as a mental event. Rather than trying to change your thinking, you don't have to buy into it or believe it. This is a big mindfulness component here, is that you're just acknowledging it as a thought. Like that's an interesting thought. It isn't a fact. It's just a thought. And it's okay to have thoughts like this sometimes. Everyone does. You're human, and there's nothing wrong with you for having this thought. ACT uses commitment and behavioral change strategies to help people take action, which is where ACT comes from. A part of where ACT is incorporated here is in the word action toward the things that are meaningful and important. In this example, the person would commit to socializing with others because it's meaningful and it's important to them. So again, I'm not going to read everything, I'm not just going to like read out of this book and read everything to you. I'm really about trying to help you to understand it and to incorporate it in an easy way into your own life. So again, this is a lot of what we do in mindfulness. Is we're just a part of the practice of the benefit of mindfulness is that you're really just noticing your thoughts as thoughts and recognizing that we're not our thoughts. So in this illustration, it shows that when this happens, when we have the thought, we don't have to believe the thought, right? Rather, we can just recognize that they're thoughts. When people believe the stories in their mind, and I say this all the time to the individuals that I work with in treatment, is that when they leave treatment, anyone that comes to treatment for a substance use disorder is in treatment for a reason. Some sort of crisis has happened in their life based upon their substance use. And so if they leave treatment and they re-engage in that substance, they're doing it based upon a lie, right? A thought that comes into their head that they believe to be true, right? They attach to that thought, to that narrative. So when people believe the stories that their mind tells them, they develop very rigid, fixed, or inflexible thinking, and their behavior can become similarly constricted. So as a result, they stop moving toward the things they want for themselves that might help bring them more fulfillment. If you rigidly believed the thought, I am boring and no one would want to be my friend or interested in me, you would probably spend a lot of time alone, which only keeps you stuck. But you don't have to believe that thought, and you don't need to let your thoughts dictate or control your actions. You can choose to recognize it as a mental event and choose to still be socially engaged, leading a fuller, more meaningful life. Another thing that I'd like to share about ACT is that it's an evidence-based therapy, which means that it has been tested, thoroughly tested. It's through scientific studies, meaning that it's been proven to be effective. So there are 6 core processes to ACT, and they are diffusion, acceptance, present moment, observer self, values, and committed action. So just real quickly, diffusion is the ability to take a step back. It's that like all important ability to pause, which is what mindfulness is so helpful with. So you're able to step back and observe your thinking rather than get tangled in it or be controlled by it. So the goal is to become more diffused from your thoughts to help create more flexibility in your thinking. This also allows us to see thoughts as thoughts and not who we are, as separate from ourselves. Acceptance, number 2, is about learning how to be with our experience in the moment and not trying to resist it or move away from it or escape from it in any way, shape, or form. So number 3, present moment, that's when we go from acceptance to learning how to be in the present moment and be with that uncomfortable experience rather than resisting it or avoiding it, which only serves to cause suffering. Number 4 is learning about the observer self, and this can be a little challenging for some people, especially in the beginning, because this is where we're learning how to be that conscious observer of our experience rather than being caught up in the experience itself. We learn how to become that third-party observer of self. And if you're someone who knows and has been practicing a lot of mindfulness, then you know that these are some really key core components of mindfulness practice in and of itself, is learning how to become that third-party observer of self. So number 5 is values, and values are all about what is important to you. And values are different than goals. So goals are something we work toward accomplishing, where values are what provides our life with meaning, with purpose. And it's different for values are different to different people, right? So what I may value may be different than what you value. And so just to give you an example here, a goal may be to lose weight or exercise 3 to 5 times a week, whereas a value is physical and mental health. So values typically fall into the areas of different domains such as family, intimate relationships, parenting, friendships, education, employment, recreation, health, spirituality, and community. So that's another one of the ACT processes, is focusing on values. And the 6th process is action, committed action. And I love this because I think any recovery program, no matter what you're recovering from, requires committed action in order to make and maintain, to make changes and maintain those changes. So committed action means making a commitment to move in the direction of your values, despite whatever discomfort might arise as a result of doing so. And people often know both what they value and the actions they need to take, but the fear or discomfort gets in the way. So tomorrow I'm going to go a little more in depth about thoughts and emotions and how we are not our thoughts and we are not our emotions, to help to inspire you a little further. But I'm going to leave you today with the metaphor of the passengers on the bus. So passengers on the bus, you are a bus moving through life, and you pick up various passengers. Not all of these passengers are especially pleasant. You may pick up passengers such as shame and inadequacy. You may pick up the "you're not good enough" passenger, or the hopelessness passenger who screams from the back of the bus, "What's the point of even trying?" You may even have an anxiety passenger who tells you it's safer not to drive at all. The point is, they're passengers. They are not driving the bus. You are driving the bus, and you get to decide where you're going. The passengers you've picked up do not have to control or dictate your life. Although you may not be able to change your thoughts or get rid of the passengers, why not learn how to take them for a ride? And so I love this because I really relate it to what happens through the process of addiction, where the addiction actually becomes the driver of the bus, right? The addiction is the one that's reaching over and taking control of the wheel and dictating everything. So through the recovery process, and now through this helpful ACT therapy, it's learning how to take back control that wheel, and our thoughts and our emotions are simply passengers that are on the bus, but we are the drivers of that bus. We are the actual bus. So I hope that makes sense to you, and maybe something that you can think about today as you have these thoughts and these emotions that come up and arise throughout your day, that you can remember that you are the driver of the bus and that these are just passengers, and you get to direct your actions and the way that you are going to respond to these passengers. So thanks for joining me today. I'll see you again tomorrow. I hope you have a beautiful, blessed, and sober day today.